When we want to teach people, there's a good time to do it and there's a bad time to do it. Now, here's the problem. A lot of times people want to teach when the timing is really bad. It's really poor timing. So I was reading a book by Stephen Covey, and Stephen Covey talks about how he was in Hawaii, and there was they were standing watching these big waves come in, and then there was a particularly large wave out in the distance that they said, wow, look at that wave. And as it got closer, they actually became scared, and for good reason, because this was a massive wave that had started hundreds and hundreds of miles away up somewhere closer to Alaska that was now coming towards the north shore of Hawaii. And at last they ran. And this wave came and it did a huge amount of damage. It caused havoc. And they saw that there were two houses that were still standing. There was a house that was made out of brick that was just smashed by the wave. And then there was another house that it was on stilts, and that house was still standing. And he used this analogy to teach about how anger is like a wave. Emotion is like this wave. And what happens is it comes up the beach really fast. And if we resist that emotion, when they're in the emotion, it can smash that wall that left nothing of that house that was all built there trying to resist the wave, but it got smashed. Whereas the other wave just was on stilts, and the wave went right underneath and went up the beach. And it eventually spent itself and went back down. So one house was destroyed. The other house that was on the stilts actually was okay. And the point here that Stephen Covey was trying to make, and that I'm going to make here as well, is that emotion is a different language than logic. Emotion is like these waves that come to the sea. And if we don't resist right in that moment, the wave will eventually spend itself and come back down. The time to teach is not when things are heated. Let me say that again slowly. The time to teach your children is not when you're in an argument or when you're having a verbal sparring. The time to teach your children is when things are calm. You know, you've heard the phrase, strike when the iron's hot. That's not true in relationships. We strike when the iron is cold, when things are calm. So if you're going to have discussions about principles, if you're going to have discussions about teaching, if you're trying to influence somebody, wait until things are calm and then use logic and reasoning. In the heat of the moment is not time to do it. Now, if things start to get heated, sometimes it's better to just take a break. That doesn't mean you're running away. Like, you don't want to, now, we're not talking about going to fight or flight. This is a big problem in relationships. People start arguing and fighting, or they go to flight and they run away. And we don't want to do either of those. And the way we do that is by making people feel safe. The way we can make people feel safe is we can acknowledge what they're feeling, even if we don't agree with it, and let them express. But then also when there's a time to get to talking about how we control our emotions, we can do that. We can talk about how emotions really aren't my fault, even though you're saying it is. Emotions aren't really your fault, even if I say it is. The truth is we choose our emotions. We can have those conversations when we're calm, right? Now, we don't have to buy into this stuff. They say, hey, Dad, it's all your fault that this and this and this and this. That's may or may not be true, right? But we need to be able to teach when the emotion is calm. So I want you to think about that. Am I trying to solve things when things are heated, or am I trying to solve things when things are calm? Okay. Now, for those of you who have problems, I want to recommend a resource to you. I don't get any money for recommending this. This is something that's helped me. If you're having problems in a marriage, you should check out Tamara Fackrell's Mindful Marriage Program. It does cost some, and I'm not making any money off this. I'm not trying to tell you have to do it, but it has helped my marriage a lot, and I thought I should share it with you because it's a very, very good resource. But the point is, think about when you're trying to teach things, when you're trying to influence, and do it at a time when emotions are low, not when they're high. And we'll go from there. Your assignment today is to come up with a strategy. The next time emotions are high and you're tempted to jump in and try to fix things right there, I want you to write out what strategy you're going to use to get to a place where things are calm. Maybe you need to go take a walk. Maybe you're going to take a little bit of space and wait till things are calm. How are you going to teach your kids, your children, when things are calm, rather than trying to teach them in the heat of the moment? What's your strategy? What are you going to do? I want you to write out that strategy now on the worksheet. Do it now. Do the work. You've got this. Good luck.